You know, fish keeping on YouTube has become a place to just show off your latest project, unbox that new fancy product, or flex how influential you are by showing the newest aquarium you just got sent for free. Don't get me wrong, I've done my share of these videos, so I'm not throwing shade at anyone in particular. I'm just as guilty as anyone. Those kind of videos are what gets people's attention in a world that revolves around likes and comments. But are they valuable? I don't know. I guess that's up to the viewer, but what I do know is there's a big difference between valuable information and entertainment. Well, I came up with an idea the other day that got me really excited. What if I was to combine both of those things? What if I was to bring you an entertaining story that contains valuable information that can make you a better fish keeper? Believe me, I've had enough successes and failures in this obsession with keeping glass boxes full of water to fill your home feed for weeks. So let's do it. Sit back, relax, and get ready, because we're going to talk about some of the good, great, sad, and horribly disastrous experiences I've had in over 30 years of fish keeping. Starting with something I think anyone who's ever filled up a box with water can relate to. The year was, I don't know, like 1990 something. And I had a 125 gallon with an Aquaclear 110 on it, 2 Marineland lights, a Marineland heater, white gravel, and enough fake plants to make even the finest aquascaper jealous. If I'm being honest, I'd never even heard the term aquascaping before, and I don't even know if it existed back then. All I did was put whatever I found in the pet store in it that I liked and thought looked good. There was no strategy and certainly no consideration to fish needs. I just liked fish tanks and cool fish. I didn't really care what they looked like. For fish, I had a silver arowana, a Jack Dempsey, an Oscar, and a red-tailed catfish. I know. You don't have to tell me. One of the things I couldn't stand about this tank was the water was never crystal clear. It always had a bit of gray tint to it. No matter what I did, it always had this haze to the water. And I, like every other fish keeper on planet Earth, wanted it to look like there was no water in it at all. I started off with big water changes, and that would work for the rest of the day, but then it would just come right back again. So I thought, well, it must be that I don't have enough filtration. I've got big fish in here, so maybe the filter just can't keep up. I went to my local PetSmart and bought a second AC 110. I mean, seriously, this'll surely be enough, right?
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
I installed that second filter on the opposite side of the 125 to get really good circulation, and it did nothing. When I say it did nothing, I mean there was no visible change whatsoever. The water was still gray and was still pissing me off. I went back to doing water changes over and over again just to keep me from wanting to jump off a bridge. I was doing water changes every day, if not every other day, and found myself messing with this tank every available second I had. I was absolutely determined to get this thing looking good, but it just didn't. It stayed looking gray. It wasn't anything extreme, but it was just gray enough to get under my skin, and I couldn't stand it. So I went back to PetSmart and bought something I thought was sure to fix the problem. Filter floss. I paid way too much money for something that amounts to pillow stuffing, packed it in both of my filters, and what happened? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. But again, I'm not giving up. I said to myself, I don't care how much it costs or how hard I have to work. I'm going to get this water to look good. I went to my local pet store because at this point I was embarrassed to show my face at PetSmart, told the guy my situation, and he said, well, you know what? There's 2 things you can do. I said, tell me, I'll do it. He said, there's this big boy filter here. I'll be honest. I don't remember what the brand of canister was or what size it was. I just remember him calling it the big boy filter. He also said, and the problem could be a bacterial bloom, so you could also add this UV sterilizer. I was looking at a couple $100s for this stuff, so I said, are you sure? He said, listen, I guarantee if you add this filter and UV sterilizer to your tank, it'll take care of any problems you have. I trusted this guy. I mean, he wouldn't just sell me this stuff because he wants my money. If he says this is what I need, well, by golly, I'm getting it.
Not a great plan.
I brought the UV and big boy filter into the house, got them all set up and running, and was so proud of myself thinking, finally, everything's going to be okay. I knew it wasn't going to clear things up right away, so I went to bed thinking that for sure it's going to look perfect in the morning. With all the money I just spent, it better look perfect. Well, it didn't. I woke up the next morning and it looked the same, if not worse, than the night before. I battled this thing for what must have been months, spent hundreds of dollars, and wasn't any farther ahead than when I started. I'm not going to lie. I was super close to just saying, screw it. Taking the fish back to the pet store, taking the tank down, and being done with it. But then something happened. We had my mother over for dinner, and her best friend came along with her. This friend of my mom's was an animal lover and even worked at an animal hospital. She looked in my tank, and I did what I always do. You see, I'm one of those idiots that always points out flaws in things I do. Like if you came in my house and said, man, this kitchen is really nice, I'd say, oh, thanks. It'd be so much better if I hadn't screwed up the floors.
Rip these walls out and, of course, rewire it.
Yeah, you're gonna make it all 220?
Yeah, 220, 221, whatever it takes.
It's a character flaw of mine, and I'm well aware of it. Well, when my mom's friend looked in the tank, she said, this is so neat. And I said, thanks. To be honest, it's a little embarrassing, though, because the water's so hazy. And she said, well, why is it so hazy? What'd you do to it? I was very quick to respond with the long list of things I had done because I didn't want her to think I'm lazy. I do big water changes. I added a second hang-on back filter and a canister filter. I've tried every chemical imaginable, put filter floss in the filters, and even added a UV sterilizer.
But you were unsuccessful?
Obviously.
And she stood up and said, huh, well, that's your problem. I said, well, what do you mean that's my problem? She said, well, first of all, you know I've been keeping aquariums for half my life, right? I said, no, I don't even really know you. She says, yeah, I've kept every kind of aquarium you could ever imagine and seen just about every scenario possible. Your problem with this tank is you're messing with it too much. My reaction to what she said was what I believe any sane person's reaction would be. This woman's obviously crazy. Well, I didn't say that, but I was thinking it. What I actually said was, what do you mean? She said, an aquarium needs to cycle and it needs time for that to happen. Every time your tank starts to cycle, you get frustrated and do something drastic, which basically starts the whole process over again. Leave it alone, let it do its thing, and I bet it'll clear up before you know it. Again, what I was thinking was, this woman's got a screw loose. But what I said was, all right, I'll give it a try, I guess. And that was the extent of our conversation. She didn't explain to me what the aquarium cycle was. All she said was, it needs to cycle. Leave it alone. So I did. It wasn't easy because I couldn't stand it. I just felt like there's something that I should be doing. But I waited for what felt like an eternity. I did very small water changes once a week just to keep the fish happy, but that was it. I didn't vacuum the substrate and certainly didn't touch my filter. And after about 3 weeks, well, the tank looked perfect. I've spent the last 13 years on this platform telling anyone who will listen to stop throwing money at problems. Yes, there's a lot of great gizmos and gadgets out there that can help your situation, but sometimes the problem is you. And this story I've shared with you today is what made me realize that. The important lesson learned here is don't panic when things aren't perfect with your aquarium and start aggressively adding things thinking it's going to solve all your problems. Sometimes all you got to do is leave it alone. Anyway, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the story and got something out of it. If you did and you want to support what we're doing, you can do that by subscribing, becoming a channel member, or just checking out our website, keepfishkeeping.com. Bye.